My name is Ann Lloyd Huffstadter, and I'm a student in Needs Assessment at GW University. This presentation will be lessons learned from the needs assessment I conducted at Language ETC, a nonprofit educational organization which seeks to improve the lives of low-income immigrants through education. The project was designed to assess the training needs of volunteers at Language ETC in response to several opportunities. The organization received iPads and computers, etc. As the assessment went on, it was determined that the performance of the volunteers was not at the level of desired performance. So the needs assessment expanded to include overall volunteer performance in teaching. First, I identified the business need, which was to attract students from the area of Adams Morgan and Northwest Washington, D.C. The SWOT analysis determined that the competitors of Language ETC all have professional teachers presenting a challenge to the organization. Next, I identified variables, which were the volunteer teachers themselves, the time that volunteer teachers had, and the structure of the learning programs, which are divided into daytime classes, Tuesdays and Thursdays, evening classes, which meet Mondays through Thursdays, and then weekend classes, which meet Saturdays and Sundays. In identifying the root causes of the gap in performance, we found that the level of preparation of volunteer teachers coming in, the fact that there's a large turnover of volunteers every term because it's not a paid position, it created problems in training and retaining volunteers. Finally, we identified solutions with stakeholders to address the turnover, the preservation of knowledge. You could think of this as institutional knowledge, and retaining trained and experienced volunteers. What I learned through this assessment was that, and the needs assessment can be an organizational development tool. And by this I mean that issues which have been entrenched and seemingly unresolvable can be thought of in a new light by holding up the issues to the light and having stakeholders identify root causes and possible solutions. These seemingly intractable problems can be resolved. This can only happen, however, if the process that's identified in the beginning is followed, and the process needs to separate the steps of the process. In other words, identifying needs should not be confused with identifying solutions. The needs assessor needs to take the stakeholders through each step of the process in identifying needs and then coming up with solutions. The timeline needs to make sense. In other words, the needs assessor needs to gather broadest information and then narrow it, and lead stakeholders through each step of this process. By doing this and following the process, the needs assessor will get buy-in towards the end of the process. Never state the obvious, show it. Your data presentation is important. And create closure so that stakeholders know they're ready for the next step, which was instructional design. Thank you.